Hello, good morning. This is Naz from NB Network Lessons. Hope everyone's doing okay and in high spirits. Today, topic of discussion is Geometry Lesson 5. We're going to find out what complementary and supplementary angles are. Date today is September 9, 2024. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So what are complementary angles? Okay. But before I start, I would just like to let you know the abbreviation for angles is like this. This is how you write angles. You will probably see me writing something like this. So that is denotion for angles. Complementary, I'm going to just write down COMP and a full stop. And then for supplementary, I'll just do SUPP. Okay. So if you see me using these abbreviations, don't get confused. This basically means angles. This basically means complementary. This basically means supplementary. Okay. So what is a complementary angle? Okay. Complementary angle is basically when the sum of two angles is 90 degrees, not more than 90 degrees, not less than 90 degrees, but exactly 90 degrees. So let me write that down. So the definition of complementary angles is when sum of two angles is exactly 90 degrees. Okay. So now let's go ahead and see if we can look at an example. So if I draw this something like this, okay, all right, we have this, let's call this A, call this B, all right, and this is a 90-degree angle, and this is how you donate it. You put a small square right here, which tells us that this is a 90-degree angle. This is perpendicular to this right here. Now, basically, let me ask you this. If I draw an angle in between right here, okay, and let's call this angle C. So this is A ray, B ray, and this is C ray. Now, let's call this angle right here D, okay, and let's call this angle right here E. So both of these angles are complementary because if I sum angle D plus angle E, that is exactly 90 degrees, okay? Because this right here is perpendicular to this. So the angle between this right here is 90 degree. So even though you can have many, many angles in here, some of those was be 90 degrees. But the definition of complementary angle is if sum of two angles is 90 degrees, they are known as complementary angles. All right. Uh, Look at an example. Let's say you have something like this, right? I call this A, call this B, okay? And this is basically a 90-degree. This is perpendicular to this right here. If I draw an angle like right here, let me draw that in green. So if I draw a line right here, all right, and I say this is 60 degrees, this angle, all right, and then this angle right here is 30 degree. So are these two angles complement each other? Yes, they do, because if you look at it, 30 degree plus 60 degree is 90 degree. So basically thing to remember is if the sum is exactly 90 degree of two angles, okay, they complement each other. They are complementary angles. So now uh, let's look at what supplementary angles are. Okay. So supplementary angles is pretty straightforward. The name is scary, but basically, um, it's real easy. The supplementary angles are basically if the sum of two angles is 180-degree, that is known as supplementary angles. I'll write that down. When sum of two angles is 180-degree, they are known as supplementary angles. Okay, easy peasy, no rocket science to that. Let's go ahead and give you an example of that. So let's say I have this straight line right here. It's almost straight. Okay, and then I call this point A, I call this point B, I call this point C, right? So if there is an angle like this right here, we call this D, okay? Then let me ask you this. Angle ABD, angle ABD, which is this right here, okay? Plus this angle right here, plus this angle right here, which is angle B, sorry, let me do this. Angle DBC, is the sum of them equal to 180? Yes, it is. Why? Because it's a straight line. Okay, it's a straight line. When you have a straight line, the angle around 2 points, let's say A, B, this is half a circle. So this is basically 180-degree. Okay, so if you divide it in two parts and sum of the two angles is 180, then they basically supplement each other. They're known as supplementary angles. Uh, I think I'm going to stop right here. In lesson 6, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about what vertical angles are. And I'll also introduce with the first theorem, which is used in geometry for vertical angles. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the contents, please go ahead and give me a like. Till next time, take care.